Harris talked on immigration in Arizona. Trump campaigned in Michigan. Former President Donald Trump campaigned in Michigan to recruit autoworkers. Kamala Harris, Vice President, discussed immigration policy at the U.S.-Mexico border near Douglas, Arizona. Trump, a skeptic of U.S. intervention in Ukraine, met with Zelensky in New York earlier in the day. Trump told reporters accompanying Zelensky that he has a very good relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin and will try to end the war. Harris met with Zelensky in Washington on Thursday and pledged to back Ukraine against Russia's incursion. Updates on the presidential race. On Friday, Vice President Kamala Harris toured the southern border and suggested increasing border security and extending President Biden's broad limitations to prevent illegal crossings. They need more resources to do their jobs, Ms. Harris said after visiting with Border Patrol agents in Douglas, Arizona, her first visit to the border since becoming Democratic presidential contender. She promised to sign a border security law as president, like the bipartisan bill that failed earlier this year because former President Donald J. Trump opposed it. She also demanded immigration reform. Former President Donald J. Trump crisscrossed Michigan on Friday, portraying himself as an economic protectionist to blue-collar voters and criticizing Vice President Kamala Harris over immigration on the same day she toured the southern border. Mr. Trump blamed Ms. Harris for inflation and the migrant issue, using populist themes that helped him win Michigan and the presidency in 2016. Biden won the state in 2020 on her first trip to the southern border as Democratic presidential nominee. Vice President Kamala Harris gave one of her party's strongest immigration and border policy statements in a century. Still, she tried to portray former President Donald J. Trump as a feckless chaos agent who couldn't achieve the hardline results he promised. Ms. Harris pledged to continue President Biden's asylum crackdown and order the southern border, showing how much Democrats' immigration politics have changed. One presidential cycle ago, Ms. Harris and most other primary contenders committed to decriminalize illegal border crossings. The Justice Department sued Alabama on Friday for purging voter registrations before the November election. Justice Department's Civil Rights Division claims the move violated a federal law prohibiting major voter roll alterations within 90 days of an election. Election Day is 39 days away. Kristen Clark, Civil Rights Division leader, said the quiet period provision of federal law protects qualified voters from last-minute, error-prone efforts to remove them from the records. The Justice Department will continue to employ all available means to defend the voting rights of every qualified voter. As Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio prepares for the vice presidential debate next week, a private message in which he reportedly criticized former President Donald J. Trump near the end of his term and a video linking car seat regulations to low birth rates backfired on Friday. Mr. Vance was notorious for opposing Mr. Trump, whom he once called America's Hitler. Mr. Vance then became a Trump supporter and ally, citing his admiration for the president's reign. VP Kamala Harris finished her remarks at the Arizona-Mexico border. Her speech was one of the toughest on immigration and border policy by a major Democratic figure in years, but she also criticized former President Donald J. Trump for having inhumane policies and failing to address issues like the fentanyl crisis and asylum backlog.